Hi, Leroy.
Hi.
Eric,
Hello.
Hi.
you're on. Frank, I can see you're on.
Yep, good evening.
Good evening. Bill, I can see you.
Yep.
Steve, Bob,
Right.
Mary.
Yep.
And then I know the Chief Stanley, I think that's Chief Gilchrist. I can only see the arm. I can see Amanda. I imagine Suchitra's there and going to join us. Hi.
Oh, she's there.
So I think, I think we'll go ahead and oh, there she is. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm quite sure Ike will join us in a minute, but let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. So I pledge allegiance
To
the
flag
United
United
States
States
of
of
America.
America,
And to the republic
For
which
which
it
is
stands,
one nation
under God,
under God,
indivisible, liberty.
liberty and justice
and
for all.
for all. It's
Good thing we're not a choir.
Yeah. I was just saying the same thing. It's good we're not a choir. It wouldn't work too good. But hey, it's good intentions, right?
Right.
I'd like to make a motion for before the next commission meeting, we have a rehearsal.
There you go, yeah. I try to go slow so everybody can keep up. Okay, so approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the
So
minutes from
moved.
the August 10th?
So
Okay,
moved.
do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any discussion? Okay. Public comment. I don't see anybody from the public, so I guess we can move on. So Chief's report.
All right. Let me see. Here. We got some new technology, so we're just gonna come in here a little bit. Okay. All right, so, so I know I sent to you most of about the high water vehicle that we were able to acquire from forestry. It's actually a decommissioned military vehicle. Gavin worked together to get that vehicle, and it is parked at maintenance. We have to get a couple tires for it, and they're not cheap, but we only paid $1,000 for the vehicle. We've already called and had it put on our insurance. So we're really happy about the acquisition, considering what some of our frontline vehicles went through in the high water and flooding after a couple of the hurricanes. So I think it's a huge addition to the fleet. We're also trying to see if we can't get a bulldozer, but hang on to that thought. So since our last meeting, we had 2 employees test positive for COVID. They have since expired their quarantine period and are back to work, they're back on shift. We did submit our application for the CARES Act. We'll have to wait and see what occurs with that. The AC at Station 1 is going to have to be completely replaced. The interior guts of the system, since it's an older system, we would have to wait an extremely long time in order to get it redone. We tried putting in some portable air conditioners to try and get us over that hump, but because there's so few windows in the layout of Station 1, how it was cut up, converted from a gas station to whatever, it's just we can't get any kind of positive airflow through the building. So we went ahead and pulled the trigger to get a new HVAC system. We're waiting on that delivery. So I did want to make you aware of that. We had a truck delivered today that goes last week actually, that will go into fire prevention. It's being suited up. We did have an engineers class last week because we want to train more people to put them into position as driver operators of the vehicles. So we were very happy, but I think there was probably 10 or 11 in the class.
11.
Yeah, somewhere around that. We are putting out applications shortly for experienced personnel this week. We're looking to hire maybe in the first of the year. We're not positive. Really, this is a fluid situation still. The South Carolina Fire Academy has canceled their recruit classes. They were supposed to start one in September. That was canceled. The National Fire Academy has canceled classes for the rest of the year. So we'll just see what we get and we come up with. The training problem. We're still having discussions over the hydrant issue. The latest was that Colleen Childs from St. John's Water advised David that we would have to have some kind of engineering plan for the pipeline to the hydrant, because we're hiring a construction company to do the actual tapping, and because we're putting a meter on it. And I said, well, I would like to know what's all involved here, because this is not what we were originally advised of in the beginning. And obviously that adds additional costs, probably $2,500 for the engineering to put it on paper and send it in. But there was key word in David coming back to me with, well, why don't we just pay the maintenance fee, and then we wouldn't have to worry about the meter in the pit. And I didn't get involved in the whole discussion because it's not appropriate, and just said for a multitude of reasons, we need a meter on the hydrant because in any potable water system, they have to know where that water goes, and they have to know how much you're losing. So if we didn't have a meter on the hydrant, we could say we're using 500 gallons, but we actually use 1,500 gallons, and they would be unaccounted for 1,500 gallons. They would think they have a leak in their system somewhere. So you really, for those reasons and amongst others, they have to keep track of the potable water and the amount of gallonage. Otherwise, they may have a leak somewhere that they're not aware of. And we know that from the fire service because that's what we do. Obviously, the other reasons, we don't want to get involved in this hydrant maintenance fee again that we're trying to get out of. So I was CCing Bill Tomei on those emails because as far as the construction is involved with that. Is Ike on?
Yes, Isaiah White.
Okay. Nice to see you, Ike, again today.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so that's an issue. The last thing that I wanted to say, and I'll bring it up again, is we'll discuss in further, and actually the finance in the HR is the language in the leave policy for St. John's. We think we got a good plan of action. We'll go over it then to correct the situation and prevent it from occurring moving forward. So, Chief Gilcrease, you have stats? Let me put the camera on.
Yeah, let's do it.
Look at this. Best ever.
There he is. There he is.
Hey, good evening. How's everybody doing? So for August 2020, St. John's had 329 incidents. Johns Island accounted for 186. Watermill had 37. Kiowa had 62, and Seabrook had 44. Did you look through that? Anybody got any questions? No? All right.
Okay, Ryan.
I'll slide down. Hold on, watch this, hold on. Now you need to tilt me up a little bit. Go up a little. There you go. All right, happy Monday, everybody. All right, happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
For the month, thank you. For the month of August, mostly, again, we're still not having our district apparatus doing smoke alarm checks, things like that. That's mostly being handled by Captain Manti. He was a busy guy in the month of August. He checked 104 smoke alarms. There's a couple of projects he's working on and actually replaced 10 or had new ones, 10 new ones. There was also 11 car seats, 3 of those done virtually in August as well. Also with the schools, last week, using social distancing and everything, our units did stop at each school in the morning and wave hello to the kids that are attending school, and say hello and give them a little goodie bag as well. And then we are spinning up some virtual classes for our schools to work on some fire safety, with Fire Safety Month coming up next month. Because of COVID and everything, we're not going to have several of the big outdoor events like we've had in the past. And that's kind of been agreed upon with our response partners as well. So we're going to be pushing some more social media things of that nature. So, any questions?
Oh, there's one more I wanted you to talk about,
Sure.
Ryan, is the development that's going in across the street and proposed next to St. John's High School.
Sure. We did receive some plans from Charleston County for some new subdivision. One directly across from our property here on Main Road. Basically, the entrance would line up with Back Penn Road. That was 34 homes, 34 or 35 homes. And then also down farther where you get to like Marianne Point Road and the Bend. That one, I believe, was 60 homes. That one came, that's like a phase one. That one came a few months ago. But you can see them, they're back in there clearing trees and everything. So a couple things coming off of Main Road. There are some new neighborhood homes by Pulte, I believe is the builder. So
Is the entrance to the development across the street from Station 7 going to be a problem?
I mean, adding traffic, who knows, but we don't know that yet, but it looks like the entrance is slated for what looks like Back Penn. So it won't be directly in front of our drive, but it will be Back Penn Road.
Okay.
Where that kind of meets up. So
At least if you have an emergency, you have your lights that you can turn on red and get out. So that's a help.
yeah, there's the traffic light.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the last thing I wanted to bring up, I'll send out to you, was Charleston County sent out the summary of changes made to the Charleston Regional Hazardous Mitigation Plan. So I'll send you a copy of that to all of you. That came in actually a little while ago. I wanted to send it to you, so I'll do that. And the other thing I wanted to think about was, since we're not probably going to be able to have a Christmas party where we're all together, and I'm going to send it out to the people in the field also, some ideas to celebrate Christmas with them all in a year from the Twilight Zone. So basically, and how we can go about that and trying to still be celebrate the festive in season. So just my thoughts. Anybody have any questions on anything we brought up?
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions, Chief. On the high water vehicle, you happen to know what fuel that is? Is it diesel or multi-fuel or what?
Diesel.
Diesel?
It's diesel. Yep.
Okay.
Diesel.
Yeah, I just asked that because it's based on the Army Deuce and a Half, and those were multi-fuels. So anyway, and then the second question is, do you have a cost yet on the AC replacement for Station 1?
About $3,700.
Okay, that's not too bad.
No. There's something else. It'll come.
Chief,
Somebody else?
yeah, Chief Leroy. When you announced that you guys had picked up the high water vehicle, I asked, did you guys get any of the spare parts that they have?
No, they didn't have any.
No, I
there were
don't
no
believe
spare
so.
parts. There weren't any spare parts for that vehicle. We when we got it, we basically got it on a program through the South Carolina State Forestry Commission. So in past, it's kind of been like a loaner thing. This one, we pretty much own it. So they gave us a website that we can go to, and it's basically any part you need for that vehicle, we can go through that website to get it.
Okay. Because
Okay.
because we picked up a deuce and a half in Dorchester County, and it stayed in the shop because we couldn't find parts for it.
Right.
So
This is the it's the DM is a D. I can't remember the initials again. That's like a D. It's a 1083,
Yeah.
M1083. So it's just it's not the armored version, but
Yeah,
it's the newer
it's a
style,
newer
right?
version,
Right.
Oh, and I did want to say this. So, the squad that was involved in the accident, the insurance company didn't initially total that vehicle out. They were going to repair it. Well, the dealer doing the work on it says there's no way that that should be put back in service. That they've been trying to discuss it with the insurance company about totaling the vehicle out, because what they were originally gave us a check for the work is not going to cover the work. And they then said they would go back and give us more money. Well, they're giving us more money than, basically what we paid for the vehicle. We're still not going to have a decent vehicle in return. So I just wanted to make you aware that we're kind of doing back and forth with the dealer and the insurance company on that particular vehicle. Because remember, it was T-bone. And, even though it was our responsibility, it still was T-bone. You really have to worry about, the structural frame of the vehicle. So the dealer's contention is it should be totaled. So just wanted to make you aware of that. That's it for me, I think.
Okay, Suchitra, I know we went over the monthly financial report. Instead of repeating, the whole report, are there any changes, or we can open it up if any commissioners have any questions? You guys are on mute.
Okay.
There are no changes in the report, so it's going to be the same. If you guys have reviewed the financial report and the monthly dashboard, and you have questions, let me know, and I can answer as much as I can.
Yeah, does anyone have any questions? Well, that was an easy one, wasn't it? Okay, then we're going to go on to the Donald, the attorney's update.
I guess the real update is it looks like everything's in order for the purchase of the main road property. Thanks particularly to Bill and Deb for being on guard and available for all the machinations that occurred in getting to this point. And we'll go over a couple of things, I guess, in executive session if we need to, but I think we're on track, and we'll start doing our due diligence and see where we go from there. And that's all.
Okay, thank you. Is there any old business to discuss? Okay, new business. Suchitra, do you want to just go over our approach on the approval of the TAN request, and then we'll discuss motion?
Sure. So in order for us to make sure that our fund balance remains, remains within the threshold that we have, the 3 month threshold, we will need to borrow funds. And we usually do that TAN borrowing in September. So we decided that we should take the whole $2 million in TAN borrowing, because we don't know how much of property taxes is going to be received in the next 3 months. So if we do see that the trends remain the same as last year, then what we anticipate to do is to give back the 1 million earlier than March. Usually we have to return our funds before the end of the fiscal year, usually in the month of March. So if we get our revenues the way we have planned it for, then we can return the 1 million in January and then return the remaining in March. That way, it's better to have the money than not. So, I guess I would need an approval to ensure that, I can request the county to, to go ahead with the TAN borrowing of 2 million.
Is there a question that the county wouldn't honor a drawdown later on?
No, it's not a question. I think that I honestly feel that if we have it, it's not going to make our interest rates are really low. So, if I have funds coming in October, and there's a good possibility that I may have to do the same the same standard of work of drafting the TAN request and getting your permission again to get another TAN request. So, historically we have requested for 2 million before. Last year we did not because we did not need it because we had a really good, strong revenue source. So, but because of the COVID and, I just want to be more careful and make sure my cash flow is, is in a better standing than but usually we get the money within a week, but I would rather have it at 2 million because like I said, the interest is really low.
Are there any other questions? Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the TAN request. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion carries.
Ask if anybody abstains, just so we have that on the record. Sorry.
Oh, I said opposed, but I guess abstain is a third category. Anyone
Yeah.
abstain?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, committee reports. Bill.
Okay, Donald's already mentioned the main road purchase, and glad to see that finally got done. It was a long battle and uphill some of the way, but I have several items to bring up on that in executive session. Station 6, the building committee met there this morning, along with the personnel from St. John's and the architect and JT. And the purpose of that meeting was to inspect the building for its first year inspection. That was required in the contract. Found several deficiencies, and the architect is in the process of writing up a report, and he'll send that to us and to JT and see where JT goes with it from there. The patio repair is still being assessed by the architect and Choate. They're trying to make sure they do the right thing with that patio without destroying any more of it than they have to. That's the elevated patio there by the kitchen. Station 4 is coming along very well. Construction right now is at about 33% complete. Most of the concrete blocks are installed. The ground face block in the lobby will be arriving on 9/22. So that's just almost a week from today. Next Tuesday, I guess. A whole truckload of structural beams arrived on the site this morning. They're just laying all over the place. I mean, well, they're where they're supposed to be, but there's a lot of them scattered around the site right now. I stopped there after the meeting at Station 6, and roof trusses should begin around October 1st. So moving along well. That's it.
Bill?
Yeah.
Bill, any resolution on there was a dispute on I guess the water tap on Station 6. The collapse of the pipe, was it due to the prime contractor? Was it due to the water company?
The water tap, or you mean the sewer tap?
I guess it was the sewer. The one that
Yeah,
was.
that's all been resolved, Bob.
Okay.
We dug up the concrete apron in front and repaired the sewer line. Turned out the sewer was actually not connected at all to the manhole. There was about a 18-inch gap or so. We never did get a straight answer as to why it was installed, but that's the way it was. So now it's fixed and everything good.
But the prime contractor is going to be responsible for that.
Yes, one way or another.
So the chief and some other of the personnel went over a laundry list. We walked around to also observe it directly. And the architect also had some items. It was a longer list than what I expected. And then the chief broke the news to Hal and Hal that we basically don't owe them any money. So we discussed kind of a sidebar. They probably owe us and we'll never see it, but we might have, some action we could take. But I was thinking the same thing, Chief. So when you came right out and said that, I kind of had a chuckle. The contractor representative was JT. He didn't have a whole lot to say because I think he just was smart to keep his mouth shut for the most part. So,
Well,
but
we
yeah,
saw
I think.
the structural damage that was in the riser room. You guys didn't all walk over to see that, but there's structural damage and Bill saw it. It's the block is separating. It's like it's sinking. And at that point, JT decided he should leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, these aren't what you would normally see as just cracks in the mortar. There's actually gaps that are probably an inch or inch and a half wide, and it's bubbling. So JT said he was going to dig a hole and see what's going on down there. It looks like to me like the footer under those walls is collapsing. There's no danger to the building itself because these aren't bearing walls. The building is sitting on other foundations, but we do need to find out what's going on there and get that fixed.
Well, it seemed at the end of the meeting that JT or Hal and Hal was still going to have the opportunity to fix some things, but I don't know that we want them fixing everything. So is that basically Rosenbaum and Cole that's going to supervise what he fixes and what doesn't?
Well, what I would suggest we'll take a look at the list that Steve Coe sends out, and then we can reconvene and talk about that. See precisely what's in the list and maybe what he proposes to be done with it, and see if we want JT to be doing that. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I might trust him to dig a hole, but maybe not any more than digging a hole.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, the finance report. So we met on September 10th. Actually, all the commissioners were in that meeting, Mary, except you. So if you have any questions, let's talk separately. But we went over the financial report as Sue Teacher had sent out. And then we talked about the audit. The audit's going well, but it can't be finalized till we get the revenue numbers from the county, and that should come hopefully this month. And the auditor was reminded by myself and Sue Teacher that, they need to report that to the finance committee before they send the final report into the county. So we're on track for that. We talked about health insurance load factor that come January 2021, our rates are going to go up. We think it's going to be in total, once it's full blown 18%, but I think we're waiting for those final numbers. And we anticipated that, we just didn't know how high the percentage was going to be. The chief already went over the training facility. We talked about that, some of the challenges. We talked about approval of the TAN, which we just approved. We'll talk about the purchase of Main Road during executive session and answer any of your questions. And then during executive session, I'll also entertain any questions you have now that you got a chance to look at the bond issue discussion document. We can talk about that in more detail in executive session if you have any questions outside of the finance committee meeting. And that was pretty much what we went over. Are there any questions at this point?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Okay. So Steve, Human Resource.
Yes, we did discuss in the finance committee meeting briefly what the chief had referred to earlier in this meeting about holiday pay. And I believe we're going to have a discussion in executive session about that.
Yes, that's correct. Yep. And then we'll vote on approval of a revision in language in the policy.
Okay. Eric, strategic planning.
We did not have a meeting, so there's no report.
Okay. All right. Do we have any firefighter comments? Okay, commissioner comments. We'll start with you, Leroy. Do you have any comments?
None.
Okay, Eric?
I do have one. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for what all has been going on with COVID and all. But also, I just happened to glance at Facebook Marketplace this afternoon when I got in the chief or Gavin or somebody might want to go on it. There's actually a trailer for that same vehicle we just purchased for sale in, I think it's in Ladson, I believe it was. It may be something we might want to look at as far as moving equipment and extra personnel around in a flooded area. That's all I've got.
Okay, Frank, do you have any comments?
I just want to echo what Eric said. Thank you to everybody's hard work during COVID and for continuing to proudly represent the district and the constituents. Thank you.
Ike, do you have any comments? Ike, you're on mute, I think, if you're talking.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to just say thank you to Bill and Deborah and the attorney to, to be in place to continue with the what we got going with the main road property, and also give chief, the staff, and all personnel to thank them that they are able to continue their good service to our community in this COVID-19 what we got going on now. And I just want to let them know I really appreciate that, as well as all other commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mary, do you have any comments?
Yes, to Chief and her staff and all of the other commissioners who head these various committees. I want to say accolade every one of you for doing a tremendous job considering what we're going through. So I ask you to be careful, be safe, and wear your mask. Thank you.
Okay, Bill.
I don't have any comments, Deb.
Okay, Steve.
Yes. Want to thank everyone for everything they're doing, and please stay safe. I want to especially thank Chief Kunitzer, Chief Stanley for responding to a request last Thursday at 1:50 p.m. Roper St. Francis Medical Center at Freshfields had a patient with a heart condition that needed an EKG. Unfortunately, Roper's EKG was malfunctioning, and St. John's responded and was able to provide that EKG. So thank you very much.
Okay, Bob.
No comment.
Okay, and I have no comment. So we're going to go into executive session unless anyone, is there anything else you want to discuss at this point in general session? Okay, so we're going to go into executive session, and I tagged along with the chief's email. I sent the conference call information. It's the same number and the same access code that we use in the past. If anyone's having any issues, if you text me, I will send you the information, but we're going to hang up from Zoom and go into the conference call for the executive session.
You need to make the motion though, and it will be to discuss the main road property and the human resources issues, the change in language, and the holiday pay.
Okay, and we're also going to talk about the bond issue discussion. So do
right.
I have a motion? Do I have a motion to go to executive session?
I'll make a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, second. Okay, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed or abstain?